Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are here finally to round one of the touring cars. The Trackstars TS3 series are opening the calendar for this year. Unfortunately, main series isn't on this week. They'll be opening their first round at Dragon Trail Seaside next week. And but this week we are at Deep Forest Raceway. We have TS3 and then TS2 followed by them at 8 p.m. So, yeah, round one, it's finally here. Touring cars, it's the pinnacle of track stars, I think, to be honest. But as always, here we are, followed by me in the combox. We have Nick Patasso in N-Spud P666, mate. It's finally here, mate. How are you going?
Oh, it's finally here, Ryan. Absolutely. I'm so looking forward to the TS3 Touring Cars Championship. And my goodness, when it comes to TS3, Ryan, you and I, we absolutely love these cars. The 2008 model GT500s, the Nissan GTR, we've got the Lexus SC 430, and then we also have the Honda NSX. But we haven't actually seen any Honda NSXs here until we've actually seen Tajali from VPR Racing. He's actually the only sole driver running in the Honda, so he's a brave man for it. But he's got himself into the top split currently sitting in, I believe, in 14th place now overall. So after through all the pre-qualifying sessions, we have our top 15 drivers ready to go for this 10-minute session here. But we also got another guest with us tonight here in the Trackstars Racing Series commentary box. For the first time, we get to hear the lovely voice of the TS2 touring car driver and also the Trackstars Formula 2 driver from a few weeks ago. It is Chris Lashbrook from MSR. Good evening.
Hey, Spud. Thanks for the lovely intro. Nice to know my voice is quite lovely according to you, but no, thanks for the race tonight. These cars are quite the spectacle, despite the older spec versions of the GTR and the Lexus we're going to see tonight. And yeah, plenty of new faces amongst the regulars and quite a big field as well. So not only the race is going to be pretty entertaining and tight, but pre-quali is going to be quite cutthroat as well. I think I'm pretty keen to see some small margins in between a lot of the races here. So yeah, it's going to be very close.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a driver unfortunately pull out on the last minute at the end of pre-qualifying, and unfortunately Stockdale, just for fun, 007, unfortunately couldn't join us in the top split. So that brings in Rosewarn from M&R Racing. So he's good to have him back. He's always happy to back in the Touring Cars Championship. He does not a big fan of formulas, but he's always gearing his team for M&R ready for the Touring Car season. But qualifying is underway. We have about 9 and 15 minutes to go. We've got Jeff Brun from Steel City MSR leading the way in the Lexus SC 430. Behind him is Rosewarn in second place, and then Griffin right behind in third. But it's the opening lap, DJ, and as we saw in the pre-qualifying stages, lap times around here are super close. I'm expecting a heated qualifying session tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I think we always see it in the touring cars. The formulas, the lap times are a little bit more spread out than touring cars. But yeah, and the other thing is as well, TS3, TS2 touring cars, we've got balance of performance, no tune. So the other thing is, realistically, it's just arrive and drive. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see this one. I'll jump on board in the TS2 before the race starts for a little bit of a hot lap. But yeah, unfortunately I couldn't get one in because we were sorting out entries and lobbies and withdrawals and stream and a whole bunch of other stuff at the same time. But so yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. But we have some new entries as you were saying here. We've got Jeff Brun. You've signed for Mass Bud Steel City Racing, and then we have Chip Reese for VPR as well. And if I can find him, we actually have Blue Bloss back. So it's good to see. We haven't seen him for a while. So it's good to see Steve on the grid here. He's racing under Black Rose Racing, who's a new entry in the Trackstars touring car series. So they are a late inclusion. We'll see James Lee in TS2 later on tonight. So he'll be repping that car there, and yeah, it's definitely going to be a an interesting one. We also have Bendit here. I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen, for the names. There are a lot of new entries, so we are still getting a head around on who's who. So yeah, we also have M. Hasseldean. I can't remember his first name. I think it's Matt or something like that. But yeah, I'm very excited for TS3. The other thing is, we've never had pre-qualifying for TS3, so this is a brand spanking new format. So yeah, mate, I'm excited for this season so far because flick back this time last year, we only had what 6 entries at the start. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think we only were able just to fill in one lobby, and we had a very spicy championship last year where we had Richard Dunson in Rick Reen for Triple R Motorsport taking the Trackstars Touring Cars Division 3 championship in that season 2022. Unfortunately, he's not able to race with us in TS2, so we wish him all the best and hopefully get to see him on track maybe later in the year. But as a man that knows Rick Green and other forms of racing, Lashbrook knows him very well, and he's actually driven these cars in the last season of the GT 500s in Rick Green's represented league. So whatever Lashbrook knows about these cars, I'm pretty sure he knows it very well because he wrapped up the championship in that championship. So what are the expectations, Chris, when it comes to these cars? Like, what do the drivers really need to do to get the maximum out of the Lexus, Nissans, and Hondas?
Well, first of all, really the braking performance in these cars. They're quite sturdy and they're quite stable cars, so it gives you flexibility to really drive aggressively. So to be able to brake as deep as you possibly can and maximise the mechanical grip and the downforce of the cars, it can really get insane corner exit speed, especially for these cars coming down to that last head and approaching the main straight. You can make up, 2/10 just from, just nailing that corner alone. And not only that, but really able to manage the tyres in these cars, especially when the fuel comes down and you get into a rhythm. You can continue hitting purple sectors. You can continue, hitting consistent times. And not only that, but yeah, like I said, the stability of these cars, despite the massive horsepower and the style of the car, you can really drive really aggressively, but still keep everything nice and tidy. So for the field that we have here, these cars will be not only really fun to drive, but I think everyone's going to learn a lot from these style of cars and potential graduates into TC2 and other things as well. So yeah, I can't think of a better style of car and to get these guys going for the new season.
Absolutely. And as we look through the field, we've only got ourselves just a bit over 3 minutes to go. We have Thornley currently sitting on provisional pole position in Cookie's accrual. Kuhl in first place, and then we have, well, actually now it's been toppled off by Jeff Braun in the other MSR entry. So far it's an MSR 1-2, and then we have Smith in Blue Bloss in third place, and then as you said there, Ryan, it is Bendit, B Bendit in fourth place. Ryan Carter in Rioff, where we've actually seen a familiar name in the Formula 3 Championship, is making his return and making his presence known in the TS3 touring cars. And then we have Richard Robertson, who was actually the fastest pre-qualifier with a 1 minute 20.3, so a little bit lacking of time as the session is just about to wrap up. So he's sitting in sixth place, and then we have Tony Griffin in seventh, and then we have Adam Walker for Black Rose Racing inside the top 10. So it is quite a very spread out field at the moment, but we're going to expect those last few minutes for drivers to really be kicking up the notch. The fuel burn is going down pretty quickly. The tyres are getting nice and warm, and the drivers are really starting to get right up onto the edge of grip limitations on those racing soft tyres.
yeah, certainly. They're as you said, the fuel's going down, tyres are starting to get a bit warm. You might see some drivers jump in the pits for some new fresh tyres, but yeah, the other thing is, we're back to touring car racing. We're just back to sprints. It's just I love these races. It's just essentially kind of running just a send it or bin it kind of attitude for some people. But the other thing is, we have quite a pretty even spread between Nissan and Lexus this year in TS3. Obviously, as you were saying earlier, with the entry of the Honda from Chip Reese. Last year we did see one from Severy when he did race under Motorsport Network Racing. So he didn't kind of really kind of put the Honda up where we would probably like to see. But we do have a pretty even spread, and at the moment it's being led by a Lexus P1 and a Nissan P2. Saying that, Robinson has jumped up into P2, but he just got pipped by Brun by 0.006. So the
Oof.
times between these two at the front, and then even here, so we've got Thornley in third on a 20.973, and then we've got Steve Smith down here in P4, who's 0.058, and then Bendit 0.097, and then Carter 0.057. So P3 to P6 is separated realistically by anywhere up to 2/10. So, that it just this is absolutely going to be a phenomenal season. I think I'm very excited for this one, and yeah, it's just such good racing, and how far we've come so far from where it first started is just fantastic. The other thing is we've got a lot of new liveries going around this year too, so you know,
Mm.
Steel City MSR going back to last year, plain old going on, what's going on here, Spud? What's going on? Where's the new livery? Where's the revamp, redesign, mate? We've got Robinson out here with a new redesign for Snow Foam running some rainbow kind of livery, but then we've got the Steel City MSR running the same thing. I think as well, I've got two MSR drivers in the combox with me. This is unfair.
Exactly right. I mean, hey, all you need is the same livery to run around in the touring cars fields. You see the same with Red Bull, Dick Johnson Racing. You see the same more or less with Walkinshaw Dritter United. They all run the same sort of liveries. So that's how we roll at the moment. So we've got Brun in first, and then Thornley in third. So the MSR boys are looking really good. But then again, we also have Robinson in second place. This in the classic of the Track Stars touring cars pinnacle of MSR versus RSR, Master Brothers
Always,
Racing versus
always.
Robert Sport Racing. Always a lot of good fun between those two teams. But then right behind there, Blue Bloss and Smith is a really quick driver. So I'll be one to keep an eye on him throughout the whole TS3 touring cars. But as you said, a 15 man field and women, of course. We have Blaker
Alexander Blaker in split two, yeah.
and Split 2, yeah. So she's joining us for another season in the TS3 touring cars. But that Split 2 is actually ongoing at the moment. We only have 3 drivers in that split, but so far that's actually been taken provisional pole position by Barrington in NZL Cowboy, and then we have Smith in second place for FR Bono Racing, and then Blaker in third place. So nice cruisy split 2, but again, it rewards. There are rewards for those drivers that put in the hard work, and for those guys and girls, take victory in the whole round, you get automatic promotion to the main split.
Yeah, exactly. Winner for TS3 split 2 gets auto entry into to main split. But yeah, mate, to have as a split 2 in the first round of 2023, I'm absolutely astounded from the ladies and gentlemen that have joined us here. But we'll just run through the field. So we've got an MSR versus RSR classic rivalry that we've had for the last, as you said, probably 2, 3, 4 years. So yeah, on the front row, but then Thornley in P3 and then Smith in P4. So yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one. And the times from P3, as I was saying, to P8, they're all pretty decently close. You make one little mistake and you can muck up a little bit. But the other thing as well, who's going to have the race pace over the qualifying? That's definitely going to spice it up a little bit, I think.
Absolutely. Race pace is quite conservative through the first sector as well, considering, track limits, can bite quite hard here. And not only that, to chase a lap time, the margin to gain is sometimes and often more so narrow this track, but the margin for error is quite big. So consistency is going to be a key to be able to keep this straight and finish the race in the best possible position. So I would expect the race pace to be a little bit slower than qualifying, but after the first race, these guys are going to be properly warmed up. They're going to be more accustomed to the car, and yeah, who knows? I think the pace might pick up towards the other races.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely.
yeah, probably sorry about that, but yes, but myself, yourself, we're always probably a little bit more aggressive in the race too. So we're probably some big movers in the race. I haven't seen yourself, Chris, race yet. So I'll be definitely keen to watch TS2 happen. But that's the other thing as well. TS2, we've got a pretty hefty entry list for that one at the moment. So that's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I've got 28 entries in the Trackstars TS2 touring cars, and it's absolutely amazing. Having a number like that. I mean, we sang praise of having a great number here in Trackstars TS3. So two lobbies, and it's absolutely incredible. So we're very excited to go. We're just about to go green flag racing very shortly, but. As you said, the racing here is going to be very top notch, and it's all really about essentially getting that car off the line, because I know Chris and I know this very well, that we always have struggles getting the cars off the line. But it is a task to get these cars off the line, don't you think, Chris?
Oh, absolutely. Really, really powerful cars, especially in the high RPM range in the low gears. So, there's a two-phase part to getting these cars off the line, and I think more often than not you can get the first part down, but then trying to keep the car stable and not let those free tires spin. That's the most critical part, and if you get a good start, you'll be able to capitalize on multiple cars. So I think before we even get to turn one, I think, just the grid start alone is going to be pretty interesting. Especially, I don't think a lot of these guys would have maybe or maybe not practiced on a grid start. So, yeah, I think he's going to catch some people out. So, yeah, look out for drama even just before turn one.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we let Ryan handle the grid, because I believe one of the drivers accidentally jumped out by accident or maybe got disconnected. But yeah, essentially, we're going to talk about that as well. Going into turn one, lap one, in these big, heavy, powerful cars, minimal aero on these old specifications of GT 500s. We definitely could be seeing a lot of carnage here. But as we saw over the previous years, we always knew that TS3 and TS2 always got to find their feet, and they really need to know who they're racing at the end of that first race, because you've got some quick drivers up ahead, as you saw the grid amongst the field, up at the top, at the pointy end, so they know that they're racing each other. But that's only through qualifying. The race pace, as Ryan said earlier, is very different when it comes to overall pace, because you just don't know who your competitors are until the end of the first race and even the end of round one.
Absolutely, and I think it'll be pretty competitive as well, because I think it'll be ideal for everyone to try, get in that top split and, avoid any quality sessions for the next round and in future rounds. So I think there'll be some people trying to find a good position to finish in the top eight or so to avoid any pre-quality, because especially with a big field, if you're able to keep on straight through, you can maximise more practice and get more into race shape ready. So yeah, it's going to be pretty competitive straight from the first, because yeah, I know I for one, I want to avoid pre-quality straight after round one.
Yeah, absolutely right, and that's the that's the idea, that all the drivers are going to be working very hard. We're actually giving the drivers the top 9 drivers throughout the whole championship. So we have the first top 5 in the championship leading the way. They get automatic priorities rather into the top split. But then we have essentially the 6th place to 9th place for those drivers that finish the best performers outside of that top 5 in the championship. So Ryan, we're actually opening up, instead of 1 entry, we're actually opening up 4 cars from the previous round to really show us like what potential they have and how far they move up in this championship. So it's going to be very exciting. It's going to be very competitive, and as well, it's going to be absolutely amazing to see some brand new faces and different drivers that we don't really see often.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty interesting one here, but no, I've currently got some technical difficulties with some drivers because they apparently have their games that are frozen, which is GT7 things. But yeah, I'm definitely excited for this season. I was excited last year, but this year I'm just even more excited. Um, yeah, so this is going to delay quite everything for later tonight. So depending on pre-qualifying for TS2, I will adjust the times and stuff like that. So
Yeah, absolutely. So
we'll adjust everyone, so no one's going to lose out on times. You're all going to have the same amount of time to put everything in. It'll just depend on what time the lobby's open. So yeah. So but at the moment, I believe Cohen Sharp, who our nickname is Mr. Not So Sharp, has a frozen game, so he's gonna be restarting his game, get him back in here. I'll reset the grid and then we go from there. But yeah, we do have Ty hosting Split 2. He's now said it's underway, so that's gonna be an interesting, exciting one. So
yeah,
yeah, so I'll definitely be wait to see.
and so far we have Barrington in NZL Cowboy leading the way on the going towards the end of lap 3, going onto lap 4 of 12, and then we have Blaker. Abe Blaker in second place, and where we had Smith actually leading the race, and unfortunately for him, he's just made a couple of mistakes, a couple of errors on his end, and he's dropped down to third place overall. So not having the best start to the race after leading the first few laps. So unfortunately for him, he's got a lot of work to do tonight to try and get himself up back to the front. But so far, yeah, Barrington leading the way and Blaker in second place. But as we have a little bit of a break here, talk us through this track here, Ryan. We're racing here in Switzerland, the track where it's been banned with motorsport. Switzerland has banned motorsport racing around here, and I mean it's great to have Deep Forest Raceway back on Gran Turismo. It's always been a fan favorite around for all the Gran Turismo fanatics. Obviously, we've seen a few track changes and layouts have changed around, so. A track like this, it's such a great track. It's a driver's circuit, and that's why we see a lot of close times, because there's a few windy sections where these cars are a handful, but then you've got the long straight where you can really gain some time.
Yeah, definitely. I'll take a bit of a hot lap here while we're just waiting for Colin to get back in the lobby. But yeah, I do like this track. I wasn't a fan favourite at the start, but yeah, I did quite like it. I helped out some of the TS3 boys over at It's Racing for it. Yeah, Sirik, I'm not going to get a 19. There's no chance of me getting a 19. Give Ridwan the controller or the wheel, and he can do it. But yeah, this corner here is definitely an interesting one. You want to go down to first gear, short shift into second, maybe third, straight line this as best you can. Early on the brakes, get the car turned in. Obviously cold tyres. Don't exceed track limits here. But the other thing is as well, I don't know if some people did see it or not, but the actual GT World Series, they raced Deep Forest here in the GR010. So the GT Olympics were here last weekend, I'm pretty sure it was. So it's definitely one that they're going to like, and I've already missed the brake marker into the hairpin.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not so sure if Chris has raced around this track a lot, but the braking zones here, you can maximise it, as he said, you can really maximise the braking zones with these cars. But because there's a lot of long straights and the braking is all downhill as well, so it's all downhill braking. So you're tempted to brake later, but in a way you have to brake just that little bit earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the high RPM of these cars, you can really use engine braking to your advantage. You can get it stopped quite in a hurry, but like I was saying before, the margin for error is, quite big. If you overshoot just a little bit, especially approaching turn 1, for example, you're out in the marbles and trying to gain traction and continue on, you're going to lose a lot of time just there. So it's very gentle, brake input, very gentle approach, but you can really, brake quite deep on these cars, especially when the tyres come into phase. So yeah, these cars are a lot more capable, that meets the eye, despite the older spec and, probably brushed over a bit, these cars are, quite capable. And they're a pleasure to drive as well, and, the BOP in these cars have been brought up to compete, with the likes of the newer spec cars. So, these cars are going to put out similar lap times for, what we're going to see in TC2. So I don't know how much of a comparison it is, but, I think they're going to be right on par with the newer cars.
Absolutely. So as Ryan finishes his lap there. So beautiful lap there, DJ. Well done, mate. That was pretty good. That was good of you.
It was a bit average. Oh, I don't have. Yeah, false start. I do. Okay, now we're just waiting for Venti. Venti's back in. Is he in? Okay, good. GT7 held the grid. That's very nice. One good thing that GT7 has done.
Absolutely. There's a lot of plaguing around here, but I think the new update has more or less given us a lot of good options to be able to, explore our ways of getting into the TS3, TS2 touring cars. With now the option of brake balance being brought back finally, so our drivers can really play around with the tyre saving and really learn about the braking performances and really get the nose pointed through the corners. But the first round of Trackstars TS3 touring cars is going to be underway very shortly here. Fellas, it is the dawn of another new era here at Trackstars TS3 touring cars, and we've crowned so many champions over the past 2 seasons, but this season, 2023, we're going to be crowning ourselves a brand new champion. It's all about getting the cars off the line into turn 1. Lead the way. It's going to be Jeff Braun versus Robinson versus Thornley right behind. What can Smith do behind in 4th place? And we are lights out. Green flag racing. A very tentative start there. We've seen some chaos already at the back of the field there. So unfortunately there for James in 15th place. Really got the car not hooked up properly. Just got too much wheel spin there. And unfortunately for him, that's already a short-lived race there for car 56. So he's down the back end of the pointy at the back end of the field. But we have some yellow flags. That's Hasseldean who's gone for a bit of an off there. So car 16. Really struggling. He was up into 9th place. Maybe a bit of contact with a couple of drivers. I think he just got a little bit hit there by Stafford, and unfortunately Sharp there. So we'll see. We'll wait and see what the stewards room brings to that so far. But so far, leading the way are the top 4 from your starting order in Braun, Robinson, and Thornley. The top 3, but some very close action and some very good racing so far by the boys up ahead, and they're keeping it very relatively clean here, Ryan, on the opening lap.
Yeah, so far the top 5, top 6 are keeping well here. Oh, Robinson going for an inside move on Braun here into the hairpin, but wow, that Lexus is so strong under brakes. That's crazy. Oh, Thornley. Oh, there's some mess going on here. Hang on, I can't catch it because too many buttons to push. Wow, Bennett looks like he's got the oil short sticking up.
Yeah, coming up all the way from 5th place. Yeah, unfortunately they got a little bit too deep there on the brakes there. It is very tricky there, Chris, as well. You really want to try and go full send into that corner because you really want to maximise the braking, but just that extra few meters too late, yeah, it really hurts the car speed. It really hurts the entry into that corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Cold tyres play a massive factor in these cars, and just with that late break there, I think he knew straight away what was happening. He was already trying to move out of the way to minimise any impact, but it was too late for that. But yeah, we're already playing some victors on the start-finish line, let alone completing a first full lap. So all we've got. That was just a replay there. But,
I think, right, don't worry.
I didn't see that part there.
When you join us in the commentary box, Ryan loves his replay cameras. He's always on the action.
I love it.
We couldn't have it in the early seasons of the Formula Championship, but then when they brought the replay cameras back, he's just been non-stop abusing them. So he loved them. But as we've seen a couple of.
Say as well.
No, you go, man. You go for it.
I was just going to say, I'm really interested to see how this we drive, and it's different cars to what we see in the Lexus and the GTR, and what fires you lean on, and how it burns its fires as well. So, just very curious to see how it competes with the very popular Lexus and GTR grid.
Some very strong action, strong racing there for the boys down in further the battle for 8th place between Griffin, Stafford, and Rosewarne in 8th, 9th, and 10th place. A little bit of contact made between Stafford and Rosewarne, so a little bit of a bump and run there, a little bit of rubbing as racing between the two boys, but looks to be plays resumed as it is between the battle for 8th place. So as we have Liam's actually gone up into 7th, so he's made a good position. I believe he started outside the top 10. He's gained a few positions into 7th. And same with Rosewarne from M&R. He also gained a few positions at the start of this race. So We've got some movers and shakers here so far. A couple, unfortunately, Bendit from Black Flag Esports Racing, unfortunately, copping the worst of it. He started in, I believe, was in the top 5. He's down in 15th place after that lap 1 deep move into this section of the end of the back straight.
Yeah, it's a simple thing, you're on lap 1, cold tyres, cold brakes, cold everything. You just see the opportunity and you just kind of got to take it. But unfortunately, it didn't pay off for him there, and he kind of got the short stick of that one, put itself in the wall, and then couldn't get the car on the track. But yeah, unfortunately, he did kind of impede Smith in that one, but he did come out still pretty unscathed there. But I'm impressed here, as you're saying, from Liam. He started back down the end of the grid and he's made moves up into 7th. So we didn't kind of really see him up the front in the formulas much, but we did see him up there. I think it was fighting it. It wasn't Seaside, but it was towards the end. I think it was maybe Nürburgring or something like that. He was actually up the front on 2 and 3. So, and especially being a TS3 driver for us from Eds, we're trying to get these boys to get their head in the game. Try and make some moves just for themselves. Not really for us. We've got our mains reserves, TS2, but I think just personally for them, we don't want to see them sitting in TS3 for 3, 4, 5 minutes. So we want to actually see some kind of movement. But we got Cohen down here as well. He did win Bathurst last year, but unfortunately he did get the run in here with Chip Reese going to the first sector. But yeah, he's run deep on the brakes there, is exactly what you're just saying. But, I wonder, are we going to see an on-debut win here for Jeff Brun? Because obviously, yourself, he does race in Motor Motion too, so he's made the move over to us, as well as some of our drivers are over there. So it's good to have some more inclusions on the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a few drivers and a few teams that race with our partnership and our strong partnership with Motormotion E-Series, who race on Tuesday night. So if you haven't already, go follow them on their socials, as well as follow their YouTube channel, Motormotion E-Series. But he's here tonight. He's here to represent MSR, and he's doing a good job leading the way in P1. But again, his good mate in Richard Robertson right behind in 2nd place, and then a very strong performance here by Thornley in 3rd place, and then not far behind him is Carter. So this is a driver as well, Ryan, that we saw Carter towards the latter end of the Formula 3 Championship. He was really honing in on those results, and he was literally going absolute grip limits on that car in the Red Bull Junior. But it's now great to see him in an actual touring car in the Lexus SC430, and he's really putting on a good show so far, sitting 4th overall with Blue, Bloss and Smith in 5th place. Then we have Griffin, Gator. I did see a driver drop down there. I think Walker, Adam Walker from Black Rose Racing dropped down a few positions. He was sitting up pretty high. He's down to 10th place, so maybe he must have picked up a penalty on his end. Yeah, it looks like he picked up and it also is very tricky around this track. Cutting corners around here, it's a very fine margin when you cut the corners, but it's at the end of the second tunnel. You just run the car a little bit too much to the left, and you go over that green patch and over that white line. You do pick up that half-second penalty, so it becomes a half-second, becomes more or less a second and a half in these cars.
Yeah, same as the right-hand shortcut that they're doing here. You try and straighten the line as best you can, but then you cop a half-second penalty. It's not hard to do. Everyone does it. I've done it. You've done it.
Even here, I think even here as well on the exit of going onto the back straight.
They have adjusted the track limit penalties on the outside of that corner, so you can't run as wide as what you can. So before you used to be able to run pretty much nearly to the wall. Now they've moved it and shifted it to the left. So pretty much as soon as you go past the white line, you will cop half-second penalties. So they have adjusted it, and it's probably one of the better things they could do, because you can actually gain, nearly a 10th and a half by pushing that track limit to the extent you can. But what driver doesn't push track limits?
Yeah, there's plenty of time to be made up there by pushing the cars right to the limit here, and I'm sure these guys are very, very keen to do that. And Ron, has he dropped down the spot? Has he?
Yeah, I actually just noticed on the leaderboard there, he actually has lost a position. So yes, he's actually lost a position to Robinson. So something happened here. He's up into 1st place. there's something.
The last lap, I don't think I pushed it.
Ah, okay. That's all right. There's a little bit of an accident there, but yeah, he's dropped down a couple of positions there. He's dropped down to P2. So did he go deep into turn 1? No, he didn't. So unfortunately,
looks like a mistake from Braun there because Robbo was. Yeah, Robbo's not in the tow at all. He was actually losing touch with Braun there. The second, third, and fourth were a bit of a tow train there. So yeah, looks like a pretty major error from Braun. But he knows he's got the pace, so he'll be a bit discouraged. But yeah, already straight back in touch there with Robbo. So yeah, pretty entertaining battle here for these first 4 cars.
And he got a really good exit out of that last corner as well. So Braun has actually got right up into the rear wing of that Robbo Sport Racing Nissan GTR. Robbo goes for the inside line. Braun goes around the outside. It's all about who's going to brake later going into turn 1 between the Lexus and the Nissan GTR. Going into turn 1, they brake quite evenly. They're going to be rubbing panels going side by side onto the exit turn 1. Robinson hits the grass and he's gone off. Oh,
no.
it's so unlucky for Robinson. He just clipped the grass on the inside line. There was plenty of racing room between Braun and Robinson. Unfortunately, Robbo just turned a little bit too left, and that's all it takes here, Ryan. A little bit too much, a little bit too eager on the throttle in these TS3 cars, and you drop down so much time here. So very, very unlucky for Robinson, going from the lead of the race down to 11th place.
Both cars there were very, very, sportsmanlike to each other. I think maybe Robbo didn't realise had that much room, but yeah, just a little clip in the grass down the curve, and he was nothing in the car around.
Bended him with a 3.5-second penalty. I'm very curious to see where he got that because he hasn't pit, so he hasn't crossed the pit line. So he must have cut 3 shortcuts in the period of a lap. Sorry, 4. Wow, I don't know. I'm very confused about that.
that's a lot of penalties.
Yeah, that's a lot of penalties, and we'll see him probably drop to the back of the field. Ideally, not exactly where he's burning it, but that's all good. Everyone's got past him. But the other thing is as well, these other drivers here that did have a bit of an unfortunate start of the race, they've started to catch to the back of the field. So we see Hasseldean here, sponsored obviously by his own personal automotive repair shop. He's got onto the back of Chip Reese, who's not too far behind Sharp and obviously now Robinson due to that mistake. But you know, they're definitely interesting to see them to jump back up and have some of that post-race confidence. Oh, Chip Reese in the back there, Hasseldean. That's unfortunate there for him.
Not only that, I think we've seen a change in the lead here as well. Looks like Thornley has capitalised. And he's currently in the lead here, so great for the young fella to be able to jump out in front there, but I'm surprised he's made that much space in a small amount of time, so maybe there's a bit of advantage, but yeah, wow, it's all getting mixed up here at the front.
Yeah, it's in a way you can say Braun's actually gone into the lead, lost the lead to Robinson, took back the lead, and now he's lost the lead to his teammate in Thornley. But right behind is Ryan Carter from WTC Racing in 3rd place, and he's not letting this fight go. I'm so impressed. I've been so impressed with him in Formula 3, and now he's definitely he's showing a lot of improvements here. In the TS3 Touring Cars Championship, but as well, Ryan, you have to look back at Thornley as well. He was in the F3 Championship, really struggled in those Red Bull Juniors, but he's just made these touring cars his own, and he's holding on very nicely to the lead so far with 3 laps to go.
Yeah, well, you know, you obviously have enough people in the series here. There are a lot of people that prioritise one over the other. You know, we may see this with Curry as well. You know, TS2 Formula 2 champion. He had me on his heels, breathing down his neck for what would be from round 2 all the way to the end. So apparently he loves formulas, but touring cars he's not overly confident as well. So maybe we might see a little bit of a shift in the TS2. But the other thing is, mate, I don't even know who would be a championship contender for these touring cars in complete, you know, main series, TS2, TS3 as well. You know, main series we've had a massive change in the car specs and balance of performance. TS2, TS3, the entries that we've got, the caliber of drivers we've got, mate, I don't even know who to put my Monopoly money on here in round 1.
Exactly.
You know, like last year, you know, we put our Monopoly money on just from the first 2 races, and you know, it was really close. You know, there was 2 drivers pretty much out front all the time. Where now, you know, we've got 3, if not 4 drivers battling for the lead here. So it'll definitely be interesting. Braun here goes for a massive move down the inside. That was fantastic.
You can see those brake discs glowing there, but we got Thornley with the switch back on his teammate. The two teammates going side by side into turn 1. Brun retakes the lead yet again for the Lexus MSR entry. He's got his teammate right behind him in second place. But any of these two teammates hit each other. They've got Carter right behind from WTC Racing in third place. Blue Bloss is not far behind in Steve Smith, but Liam is doing a fantastic job sitting in 5th place overall. And he's got no one behind him. He's got a clear gap ahead of him. This is a very impressive performance here by Liam, starting from 12th, 13th place all the way, now moving up into P5. So full credit to Gator's performance in 5th place. And then we have Stafford in 6th place, the privateer, doing a really nice job in 6th place. And then we have James, so the runner-up in the Formula 3 Championship, who actually was the man that got the car spun around literally at the start line. He couldn't get the car off the line, but he's up into P7. So I will say it as well. That's also a very good drive there as well.
Very, very good drive up from essentially half the track down up to 7th. So that is absolutely fantastic. And not only that, but Carter, you might be losing touch with the front two guys there, but a very, very disciplined drive from him as well. There's been through a few mistakes and a few different barges there with Robbo and the two MSR boys, but he's kept it straight, he's kept it tidy, and he's been able to maximise his result and put himself in a good position here to walk away with some good points here after race 1.
The other thing as well, Carter, it might be a little bit off the front leaders, but if one of them gets a half a second penalty, we all know how penalties work in this game. Half a second realistically is like 1.5. So anything is possible. Plus, if these two can start biffing and barging up front, we're going to have Carter closing very closely. But Braun's put that lead out to 0.8 seconds so far over Thornley. So yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how it goes. But we've got Smith here in 4th place, just running his own race. What inconsistent laps? He's got pretty consistent laps going. He's got a 21.1. 21.2, 21.5, 21.5, 21.1. So that's a lot and really good consistency there. But 20 viewers as well so far, mate. First round TS3, that's fantastic.
And as we go through this as we go to start finish time, we're going to see Jeff Brun lead the way and take victory in race 1 of the Trackstars TS3 Touring Cars. Leads the way and takes victory in race 1 of round 1 here at Deep Forest Raceway for the Swiss Grand Prix. His teammate in Thornley right behind, so an MSR 1-2, and then we have Ryan Carter from WTC Racing rounding up the podium. So some great racing amongst our fields here. Robinson's climbed up back into P9 after a hard move on him, a very unfortunate mistake going into turn 1, so he back up into P9. We saw Rosewarne in 11th place. Griffin dropped down to 12th. Bendit is in 12th place rather. Cohen Sharp in 13th. Chip Reese and then Hasseldean, as we saw a late incident between those two drivers, in 14th and 15th place. That was a very, very good start here so far. Some great racing from all of us, but so far the man to lead the way is Jeff Braun, taking victory here at round 1 for race 1 here at the Deep Forest Raceway Sprint.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I almost missed the checkered flag there. Lucky you were on that, because I was too busy looking at the cars and the battles that was going on.
That was a fantastic drive by Braun. He, despite the mistake, he was very, very fast, particularly very quick in the second sector there. We saw his move on Thornley there just a few laps before the finish. And, very, very disciplined and very, very tidy in that hairpin. So, yeah, he's going to pick up the pace, and he looks already pretty accustomed to this car already. But, yeah, great performance by him. Not only that, but plenty of fantastic recovery drives as well. It's a bit messier there, a little bit how you go on there at the start finish line of the first few corners, but everyone seemed to pick it up and get into a nice rhythm. And fantastic performances all the way through the field. So very impressed for the first race of this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Some great racing between those two. Even with Robinson battling it out for the lead, it was really, really good driving between those guys. And Carter was very, very close to getting a position into that up into the top step, but settling in for P3 overall. It is a fantastic job for WTC Racing here. And we also had Blue Bloss in Steve Smith, recover himself back up into P4, and then Liam. I think that's a really good drive there for both Liam and James, 5th and 7th place at the end of the first race, Ryan. So as we get ourselves set for the grid, we do like to thank Chris Lashbrook for joining us here in the commentary box, mate. Hopefully you enjoyed your show, enjoyed the race, and all the best in your preparations for the TS2 pre-qualifying.
Thanks, Spud, and thanks Ryan for having me, guys. Yeah, very, very good race. And yeah, picked up a few pointers there ready for my race. But no, great stuff here from these guys. Yeah, definitely don't count this division out for entertaining racing and fast racing too. With that, coming in rusty for the first race, everyone's trying to get the boots to fit tight. If that's the starting point, then I think this is going to be some quality racing to watch.
Absolutely, that's why Ryan and we really love TS3 racing. It's always it brings up so much action, and we get to see brand new faces in the Track Stars Racing Series field. So thanks for joining us, Chris, and we'll take a break here as we sort ourselves out for the grid for race 2 for round 1 for the Deep Forest Sprint.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for race 2 here at Deep Forest Raceway. It's definitely going to be an interesting one. Had to manually set the grid, obviously, but it is progressive grid, so how they finish is how they start. So let's wait and see on if we're going to have some big movers here. Some drivers that started and qualified up the front are starting down the back for race 2, so I'll be excited for this one. Unfortunately, we've lost Chris. He's gone off to prepare for TS2, so we'll wait and see on how it's called. But yeah.
Yeah, I do like to thank Chris for joining us in the commentary box, but we are getting ourselves ready for race 2 as we see them in the orders there. Run and Thornley, the 2 teammates on the front row, but what can Carter do right behind in 3rd place with lights out, green flag racing? A much better start there for James there in the WTC racing entry. So let's look on board with Gator's point of view as he goes into turn 1. It looks relatively clean up ahead. As we look towards the back end of the field, let's see how much carnage is towards the back. It looks relatively clean here, Ryan. So I have my doubts around this track, especially with the first corner here at Deep Forest. But so far, 15 cars, all in a span of 4 seconds. So a very clean start by all the drivers here tonight so far in race 2.
Yeah, that was a lot better.
Oh, as I say that, and the Carter's gone off. So if something's dramatically has happened to Carter, he was in 3rd place there, so in a very good position. Oh, I think he just lost the car there at the start. It's too much throttle there for Ryan Carter in car 23. That's dropped him well down the order in 15th place there. So as I was saying, a clean start, not too much contact pushing people off there, but he just unfortunately just a lapse of concentration there. And he drops down to all the way to the back of the field. But we have Smith up into 3rd place, and Liam's going to go for an outside move. Blue goes defensive on the inside line, pretty much parks it on the apex there, so Liam's got nowhere to go. He has to hold back into 4th place. We have Stafford in 5th place, doing a really nice job putting on the pressure on Liam. And then we have James right back, the runner-up of the Formula 3 Championship, in 6th place, and he's got a much better start than what he had in race 1. And then Robinson down in 7th place. We'll be looking to see him make some moves at this early stages of the race, with Walker inside the top 8.
Yeah, there's definitely been some big movers there, but unfortunately for Carter, as you said, got on the gas there. From what I can see, he was still in 1st gear, so maybe he held 1st gear for a little bit too long, and unfortunately just lost the car there. But yeah, that's what happens. It's racing, but these guys are really tussling for position at the moment. But
wow.
Liam's got 4 hard charging. Was that 3 Nissans and one Lexus behind him? So. Yeah,
he's got Walker behind him as well, so Walker's come to play as well. So the top 2 really putting the pressure. There's not, if you could throw a blanket on those 5 cars and they'll all be under the same blanket. It is so close. Colin Sharp's actually made a few positions there at the start of the race. He dropped from the back of the field up into P9, so great start there by the It's Racing car 31. But so far leading the way, it is Jeff Bruin and Thornley up in 1st and 2nd. Smith not too far behind in P3 as he goes to go. He almost went deep into the back end of Walker's Lexus, unfortunately just pulled it up there at the perfect time, and it looks like Liam's lost a position there on that entry into the heavy braking zone here, going into that last couple of corners there. Oh no, he actually got a little bit hit there, so Stafford unfortunately gets for a bit of a hit on the side door, on the actual driver's side or passenger side door of Liam's Nissan GTR, so he drops down to 6th place. James makes a position up into 5th, so he's done a very nice job to be inside the top 5 within the opening few laps. But it's quite an intense field here in this midfield, but we can see the top 2 and Smith running away from this pack here, Ryan.
Yeah, well, that's what you kind of really want to do there, being the top 2, top 3. You want to really run away from this mid pack here. They're going to be battling, and you're going to make as much time on them as best you can. But Smith looks like he's a little bit off the pace from the front 2, but consistency is key. We go back to the old supercars one. Russell, he won the championship, and I don't think he even won a race in the whole season. I think he was just finishing like 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So anything's possible realistically. So I think just consistency is key here. Liam going for a massive dive there on James, keeps it clean on the exit, but James gets that over under move done. That was fantastic racing and awareness there. But Robinson up into P7, hounding the back of Liam there. So I wonder if we're going to see a big deep move here from Robinson into turn 1.
Oh, we can see there Liam going defensive, really tries to phase Robinson. He looks like he's gone a little bit too deep on the brakes, but he's going to hold Liam around the outside. No room there to go for a switchback. So Robinson takes P6. So a very good strong start there for Robinson. We saw his pace, the pace that he could show in race 1, but unfortunately he's in this midfield pack, and as we see James up ahead has got a half-second penalty, so that'll help Robinson. He needs to stay right underneath that rear wing of car 56 to get that 5th position away. But then he's got himself a couple of drivers, and some fast drivers so far in Stafford and Smith in 3rd and 4th place respectively. So Robinson still tucked in underneath that rear wing, so he'll definitely be getting that 5th place away from James. But we can see Liam is going for another move on Robinson. Robinson's just squeezing in onto the barrier. It's some good side-by-side racing. It's like James is saying, I don't know where to go, boys. I don't know where to put the car. The boys are fighting each other out. Liam and Robinson going to go side by side, going into the heavy braking zone. Robinson holds around the outside. Oh, so close. And Robinson does a beautiful move around the outside. And James is going to go for a good move. He's got better traction on the outside line. And unfortunately there for Liam, is he going to hold the inside line? They're still going side by side between the Lexus and the Nissan driver. Right behind them is Walker from Black Rose Racing, doing a really good job holding his own. He's waiting for the carnage to happen. James goes a bit deep, Liam goes a little touch deeper. But man, some great racing here in this midfield pack between the battle for 5th place. Robinson has done a really good job to get out of the way, but Brun and Thornley and Smith in the top 3 as we look down through the rest of the order from 8th place downwards. We have Walker in 8th place for Black Rose Racing. In 9th place, we have Cohen Sharp in the Car 31 It's Racing Esports, more mechanical sponsored entry. And then we have Bended from Black Flag at Esports Racing in 10th place, doing a really nice job there after what was not a great start in race 1. Then we have Chip Reese in Tajale in 11th place, and then we have Rosewarn in 12th for M&R, who's got himself a half-second penalty there, and then Carter he's really just trying to come back through the field here, Ryan. 13th place, Hasseldine, and even Griffin as well. So we've seen Griffin down in 15th place. So something dramatic happened on his end. He is not even onto the back straight at all. So does his lap time say anything different?
Lap 2 had a minute 52 there, so he's probably had a spin or come together with someone. I think we're a bit too focused there on that mid pack there with that 5-car battle that I missed it. But yeah, he's done a 152 lap 2, so might have come together with another car or something's happened there. But yeah, not too sure. But you know, TS3 always brings the smoke, I think. But Carter on a deep move there into turn 1 off Rosewood there, taking that another position there, and he's got 4.3 seconds to bend it. So it's going to be interesting on if he can do it. But mate, look at this pack.
Look at this battle pack. I was going to say. The battle pack is insane. I think it's a battle for 5th place, I believe, from Robinson downwards. This is absolutely insane. I believe, from James rather. So all these cars from 5th all the way down to 10th place. 11th place, I believe. Yeah, 10th place. So close. 6 cars, all within probably a couple seconds to 3 seconds at least. And one of these guys can go for a move and send it. Go for a move down the inside at the end of this heavy braking zone. All the drivers are very tentative there. I guess now we're on lap 6 of 12, about to start lap 7. It's really every lap you do around this track here, you just want to try and push those extra couple of meters, extra 5 meters on that back straight. But again, if you push that a little bit too hard and you forget to miss, and you do miss your braking zone, it can cause some carnage. As we see Walker go for a move on Gator on the inside line. Actually, no, he's defending from Sharp in 9th place, but can Sharp go around the outside? He's got a half-second penalty. Walker holds the inside line, keeps that car positioned very nicely in 8th place, but a very good drive there. But yeah, going back onto the point, they've done 7 laps around here. Do you think the braking zone changes for all these drivers here, Ryan, or do you think they're just really just trying to hit the same spots every lap?
Realistically, it's got to be situational, to be honest. You know, you got to either change your braking marker to defend, and then if you do a defending braking, you try and go for a switchback, so then you brake a little bit earlier. You know, you're going for a move, you go deeper. But then the other thing that we've got is we've got wind. So they've got a semi-cross / headwind. When you have a headwind, you can obviously extend your braking marker, shorten your braking marker due to the headwind pulling the car up. You know, the aero on these cars is a pretty hefty aero package, so they can withstand quite a decent amount of braking and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely interesting here. But you notice when you have a tailwind as well. When you have a tailwind, your braking extends by probably anywhere in between 10 to 30 meters extra. So kind of really got to, as I said, have that situational and race awareness on you. You know, if you don't have a race head or a situational head on you, you're not going to get very far in sim racing. So, but at the moment, you know, going back to last year compared to this year, these TS3 drivers are a lot cleaner. You know, we had quite a few issues with some drivers last year, but it really looks like they put their head down and got some driver training in and definitely pulled it out, and yeah, they're doing some clean ones there. But you know, the other thing is, you can't do this kind of rubbins racing in a Formula car, mate.
No,
touring car, eat your heart out any day of the week.
Absolutely, and that's why we love these TS3 touring cars. They're just beasts of the cars, and you can really push them to the edge there. As James picks up another half-second penalty there, so you can really get the elbows out. You can really defend hard, and I guess the biggest thing with to play with this factor, as we see Robinson go for an inside move there, almost goes for a full send on James there. Unfortunately, couldn't pulls the car up just enough to not give him too much contact, but that compromises his run onto the pit straight. But yeah, with these cars being with the balance of performance and no tuning aspect, these guys can just go free for all, and they can absolutely have a ball in these cars. No preparations, no tuning like they had to in the Formula 2 championship, and they can really go for it. As we see Liam go for a late move on the outside, out braking Walker. He goes for an outside move onto turn one and does it cleanly. Great move there by Liam, as we see go for an onboard replay. Walker goes to the inside line. Talk us through this, Ryan.
Yeah, he's just pulled the car up, got on the gas there, first gear, held it late. Looks like he's got traction control on the car there, but he really used that aero and pulling that car through. That was a fantastic move. There's not much grip out there, so hats off to him. He's definitely pulled his socks up from last year. I'm very impressed with that, and I know that Jarman will be impressed with that too. Because as I was saying earlier, obviously yourself having cars in TS3, you really kind of want to see them really progress through making moves like that, keeping it clean, winning races, top 3s, top 5, stuff like that. So to have him do moves like that, even if he doesn't get a top 5, I'm happy with a move like that. That was fantastic.
Yeah. Absolutely, we saw his best performance in the final round of the Formula 3 Championship at Brands Hatch, where he picked up a podium overall. So Liam's on the charge. He's got the momentum behind him, and I can't wait to see what the car 28 can do in the TS3 touring cars. Is he looking to put a move on Robinson right underneath the rear wing? He's going to go for an inside move. He doesn't think through. He feints Robinson, keeps Robinson on his toes there. So Robinson holds on to P6, and the battle for 5th place still rages on here, Ron. I believe Stafford's just run away from this pack here, so he's got himself a bit of a good gap over James in 5th place, but the top 3 are still keeping themselves clear away from the traffic, especially the top 2, and Bron and Thornley 1 and 2 for MSR. But Black Rose Racing putting their authority so far with both Smith in 3rd place and Walker inside the top 8. I've seen Walker race plenty of times. We've seen Bloss race plenty of times. He's been a Elite's Porsche Super Cup champion in season 2022. So he's got the pace and he's got the talent, and it's great to see him back in Track Stars.
Yeah, he was really doubtful in the Porsche Cup. He was messaging me during it, and he just goes, "Look, mate, I don't think I've got the pace for this kind of stuff." And I'm just like, "Look, look at your results so far. Just give it to it, do your best, and see where it comes out." And it came out that he ended up winning the Elite class. So, he might not be as fast as the Pro class or Pro M, but to have a class win like that, it definitely boosts your confidence. And as far as I know, he has been doing some racing elsewhere, so that's the other thing. Doing other series and leagues and stuff like that can also really boost your confidence. But he's come out here on debut in touring cars, and he's already on for a P3 here, which may give him a podium, depending on how the final results pan out with just over a lap and a half to go. So, I'm definitely impressed with these drivers and seeing their progress. Yourself as well. We've got some drivers who I've never seen race before. Stafford is a pure example. He's sitting here in P4. I've raced obviously Robbo, Liam. We've got Bender down here. I've never seen him race, and as saying that, he unfortunately makes a bit of a mistake there. Hasseldine, Chip Reese, I've heard of, haven't seen him race, but yeah, Hasseldine as well is another one. I've got no clue on how they are, but he's just obviously pulled a short stick on this race too. He was involved in some incidents first off. I think it was the first or second lap. So yeah, but everyone's welcome here at Track Stars. If you've got friends, family, anyone that wants to make a move, then you can get them to race here. But yeah, fantastic turnout so far. And I think as well, the range and caliber of drivers having here, we see people expand their racing. The other thing as well, Track Stars prioritises touring cars in GR2. As far as I'm aware, I haven't seen another league do GR2, so that really kind of distinguishes us from Motor Motion and Sector 1 and all that kind of stuff. So we're really pretty unique over here. And I know some drivers don't like GR2, but I love my GR2. It's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about the high speed racing and high speed performance cars with our series. So the boys are doing a really good job there up in first and second place, bringing the Lexus where we actually saw last year the Lexus was not the car to drive at all. It didn't get any wins at all last year in 2022. So everyone just favoured the Nissan, but the Lexus is back. And me being a Lexus man, the lead Lexus team in MSR, it's great to see those cars up on the front. But not only 1 and 2, we have Loss in third place, Black Rose Racing in the Lexus as well. So Robinson coming under pressure from Liam on the last lap. Liam goes for a move on the final lap, drifts the car, blocks Robinson on the exit, and unfortunately for them, he gets the contact. But on the final lap here on the pit straight, Jeff Braun and Thornley crosses the line, first and second place for MSR. Steve Smith, a great job to be in P3. Stafford's just going to hold on to P4. James is going to go for a move. He holds on. Gator with a nice move there on Robinson on the final lap there, drifting the car on the final corner to block Robinson. Finishes inside 7th place, and as all the drivers come through, we've seen some awesome racing there. We see Walker drop down to P11, unfortunately, so something happened on the last couple of laps there. We have Rosewarne in 12th, then we have Hasseldine, and then we have Tajale, and then at the rear of the field, unfortunately, Tony Griffin for WTC Racing. But as a hat trick, that is the clean sweep for Jeff Brun in car 18 for the MSR, as well as Thornley getting 2 second places in a row. So great start for the MSR boys, and yeah, I think a great start overall in TS3 touring cars, Ryan.
Yeah, that was fantastic there. I really enjoyed that. We got Carter with the fastest lap too, so with a 120.659. So yeah, I think that was a pretty good start there. You know, we had 5 Lexuses in the first race, and then in top 5, and now we have 4 Lexuses and 1 GDR. So I think the GDRs really kind of need to go back and have a look at and see on how that's going to go. But yeah, you know, that was a very exciting race there. But you know, we are running a little bit behind time, so yeah, that was a fantastic 2 races there from TS3 for the opening round here at Track Stars for TS3. So yeah, I was pretty impressed with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Some very clean racing there. Couple of moves that can be a little bit questionable, but that's why we have our incident report there. So if our drivers follow the incident report, we'll get through that as quickly as we can, so we can deliver the final results. But I am very happy with the way that round 1 has gone. So we'd like to thank our drivers for both Split 1 and Split 2 for making this attendance possible. Without you guys, we wouldn't be having a full lobby in TS3 touring cars and even a Split 2. So we thank them so much for all their hard work. But before we wrap up, Ryan, we're going to give out a quick driver of the day, a quick shout out to who was the best performer in that race there. And I think, you know, I'm not going to be, I won't be biased. I won't pick my 2 teammates, but I'm actually going to go for someone in your team. I'm actually going to go for Liam. I'm going to give Liam my driver of the day. Such a great drive, quality drive from Gator, you know, from race 1 and race 2, making those early moves in that first race and getting himself inside that top 5 or into the top 8, and then again to back it up, put on some impressive overtakes in that second race and finishing 6th overall. You know, I think that's a really quality drive by the It's Racing esports driver.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is a good drive there, but I've got to go the other way. I'm going to give mine out to Steve Smith there in Blue Bloss for Black Rose Racing. He kept his head out of trouble and he pulled off some pretty decent performances for his first round. So, yeah, I'm definitely... I don't know, I've got a kind of bit of a soft spot for Blue Bloss, you know, for elite racing in the Porsches, and then now this one. I'm definitely going to be excited to see where he can end up. Plus, as well, the new entry for the team, the new team entry, sorry, for Black Rose Racing. So, you know, led by James Lee in TS2. We've got Walker down here as well. But yeah, that was a fantastic drive there. But as we wrap it up, we do thank everyone there for joining us. So. Yeah, from obviously myself in Ryan Palmer, Nick Patasso, and then we had Chris Lashbrook as well for race 1. So big ups and big thanks to everyone there. Any issues, we will have the incident reports out there, and yeah, I'm definitely excited for TS2 if that's what TS3 brought.
Oh my goodness, TS2 is going to be exciting, but it's going to be fireworks so far. We've got TS2 pre-qualifying coming up very shortly, so stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back in 50 minutes' time to bring you all the coverage of the TS2 Touring Cars Championship, where they commence season 2023 with the Nissan, Lexus, and Honda 2016 version, BOP, no tuning. So stay tuned for that. But for us here at Trackstars TS3, we'll catch you guys next week for some awesome, fantastic TS3